What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for clicking on the video. It has been brought to my attention that the 2021 CRF250L and Rally have been leaked, and there's supposedly a few upgrades to them. So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. I felt like I needed to make this video because the CRF250L was such a huge part of my channel. It's really what got a lot of my following. It was amazing to me, and I still recommend it to a lot of people out there who are looking for a cheap, reliable dual sport. That being said, I got a DM this morning from Mr. Elmas Numic. So shout out to him. He's the first one that brought this to my attention, and he sent me the screenshot of the two models, which I'll put on the screen right now. So right off the bat, the first thing that I noticed was the headlight. It now shares the same headlight as the 450L, or at least it looks very similar. On top of that, the handguards. That's awesome. No, they're not wraparound. They can't do that for liability reasons. But these are similar to what the KTM and Husqvarna bikes come with, so that's pretty cool to see. Now, I don't know if these are gonna come factory or this is going to be an option. I'm not sure if we're gonna get them at all. I'm just going based on the pictures and what I am reading on the internet, which we all know that we can't trust 100% of the time. But I'm just here to talk about what I see. Also, if you look up underneath, we have a skid plate. In this picture, it looks to be painted aluminum. I can almost see the weld seam. If it's coming from the factory, it is going to be plastic, but for some reason it just looks more rigid in this picture. Knowing what I know now, I would rather have a plastic skid plate. The aluminum ones are just too rigid. They don't allow the frame to flex as well. Works Connection makes one that has some rubber mounts that still allows the frame to flex, but overall, the plastic skid plate is the better way to go. It's gonna slide over obstacles easier. It's still gonna take the same damage. Just think of the durability of a kayak. That's like the similar material used in these skid plates. They're very tough. Yes, you'll have to replace them over time if you do some serious, hard, rocky, technical riding, but there's nothing wrong with them. So apart from the headlight, the handguards, and the skid plate, it looks like the rear license plate holder is a little bit different. Hopefully it is. Also, these side plastics are different, so it looks like they're not gonna match up with any of the previous years. I do love the graphics that this bike comes with, that red, white, and blue, man, that Honda Racing inspired color scheme. I'm really a fan of that. Check out the front end of these two bikes. I love that shot. That headlight is definitely different than the 450L, but it's very similar in the styling. It looks like the top of the cylinder head is black. In this picture, we don't see the handguards or skid plate. It looks like the same turn signals that are on the 450L, which I loved. They're actually usable, and you can ride these things off-road. I crashed the 450L multiple times, and I never had problems with the factory turn signals, so I love those things. That's awesome that they're using them on the 250L now. Still got those cheap, flimsy bars that you're gonna need to upgrade if you wanna do any kind of serious off-roading, because the first time that you drop them, they're gonna bend. But they gotta save the cost somewhere, because this is still a very affordable bike. Other things that I noticed, it's got a different plastic cover here by the clutch. Not sure why they wanted to do that. It looks like the older model protected the frame a little bit more, but there are some aftermarket options for that I'm assuming will still fit, but I don't know. I can't see where the bolt holes are. So aesthetically, that is really all that I'm noticing. It looks like the back fender's got some different notches in it, maybe. It looks like the front fender might have a little bit of a different angle, but also look at the fork shoes. They look to be powder coated black, which would be awesome. It's just little hints like that that really make a difference. The forks look a little bit more dark bronze here, but that might just be the lighting. Now that's really all I could notice aesthetically just by looking at those few pictures. That leads me to my next subject. Were there any upgrades to the engine design? I found this website that actually looked at a parts diagram from a 2021, and this is what it said. Going by the leaked images, Honda seems to have reworked the engine's internals. For starters, it shows a mechanical fuel pump connected to the camshaft in a direct fuel injection system. Also, there are 2 spark plugs instead of 1. That's interesting. Mechanical fuel pumps were widely used before the advent of electronic fuel injection systems and has become rather a rarity in modern day. So seeing an upcoming motorcycle with a direct fuel injection system and a mechanical fuel pump is even rarer. The exact reason behind Honda's decision to add a mechanical fuel pump instead of the electric one is unknown. That said, a mechanical fuel pump offers the inherent advantage of being repair friendly in case the bike breaks down, especially in remote areas. I can agree with that. That is something that almost left me stranded one time on the 250L. There's this small connector behind the headlight that will cut power to the bike. As a lot of you know, I like to wheelie the 250L, and I came down from a wheelie one time and the bike cut out. It would crank, but it wouldn't fire over, and I wasn't sure why. So I drained down the battery pretty low by cranking it over, and thankfully for some reason I found that connector that came loose. I plugged it in, but I couldn't go anywhere because I had a dead battery. As with all of my other dirt bikes, it was no big deal. I was just going to bump start it. That was easier said than done. With the electric fuel pump, it wasn't priming properly by me bump starting it, so it took me probably a dozen times, but I finally got it started. So I imagine with them going back to the mechanical fuel pump, it will bump start now just like any other dirt bike. Let me know if anybody else has experienced that situation, but that could be a big deal for some people, especially like they said, riding in remote areas. But yeah, there you can see the dual spark plug design. There's the injector, and as you can see, it looks easily accessible. It also says the direct injection offers the advantage of a more precise fuel input, therefore improving the efficiency of the motorcycle, which is probably why they did that in the first place. They're trying to keep up with the EPA standards and make all these different countries happy. Yeah, like it says right here, it could also be possible that Honda's made these changes to comply with the upcoming Euro 5 emissions norms. With these new systems in place, there might be some difference in the output figures of the upcoming CRF. Also, I've read of some suspension changes. It says here, Honda also seems to have used a traditional fork instead of the 43mm Showa. However, the rest of the underpinnings appear to be unchanged. I also read on another page that there was supposedly some frame upgrades that added a little bit of rigidity, which, I don't know, doesn't sound all that cool to me. But apart from that, I'm not gonna talk about the Rally too much just because I'm not familiar with that bike. Personally, the 250L just makes a lot more sense to me than the Rally. I don't know why you'd want the extra weight of the Rally. I guess if you're doing more road riding and want that windscreen and just like that style of bike in general, that might be for you. But from what I can see, aesthetically, there doesn't look to be a lot of changes. So, what are my overall thoughts about these changes? I think it's a nice improvement. I love the headlight, I love the handguards. Potentially them coming from the factory with the skid plate, that is awesome. It just makes sense. They do it on the 450L. It's just some plastic. Why not do it on the 250L as well? I like the styling of the plastics. I like the colors. I like the black fork shoes. I'm glad they're still coming with the black wheels. And the turn signals is the biggest thing for me. Actually having some functional turn signals. Ones that won't break off on you the first time that you crash. Because if you actually want to do some dual sport riding with some challenging terrain, it's nice to have some components that will actually hold up. Overall, aesthetically, I'm happy to see those changes. Performance-wise, I don't think it's gonna be much different. I'm not thrilled with the changes with the dual plugs and everything. Like I said, that was just them trying to keep the emissions people happy. So not too big of a deal there. That is cool for the bump starting purpose of having that mechanical fuel pump. And in most cases, mechanical stuff is more reliable and easier to work on, so that can be a benefit. Apart from that, not much has changed from 2012 when it was released. Not much can really change in terms of upgrades because they got to keep the price down. That's an entry-level machine. And that looks like I have an Asian Hornet next to me. Awesome. If you already have a 250L, no, I wouldn't go trading it in for the 2021 unless you really love the new design, but I'm sure you could just buy one of the headlights when they come out. There's already some graphic kits out there that look very similar to that. But definitely some nice changes. It's a move in the right direction, you know, it's not a step back. Also, while we're here, I figured I might as well talk about the new Groms. It looks like they're gonna have the one base model, and then they're gonna have the Motard, the Adventure, and the Scrambler, and also the Racing Edition. Once again, mostly aesthetic changes. I love the new wheels. The silver forks are awesome too. I think it's kind of a step backwards from the SF in terms of styling. It kind of gives that OG Grom look. Some people like that. I'm not sure if that rollerblade wheel design really gets me off, but I don't hate it by any means. It doesn't have that huge cat underneath like the SFs did. I do really like the wheels. I like the flat seat, man. We finally have the flat seat again. The headlight looks kind of cool. I don't know. It might grow on me over time. I definitely don't hate it, but I'm still just kind of on the fence. But one of the biggest things that I did read about the new Groms is that they're going to be coming with a 5-speed transmission, which is awesome. I will definitely have to get my hands on one to test it out and see if it's that big of a difference, if it's worth upgrading to. I know a couple companies made a kit for the old Groms that you could upgrade to 5-speed, but from what I heard, it didn't really allow you to accomplish that much more. So apart from that, mainly aesthetic stuff. Once again, Honda's definitely got some good marketing, but I am glad and I applaud Honda for doing something different. I mean, they could have just easily released another SF model with some different colors, and they probably would have sold just as well, but I'm glad to see that they keep innovating, and hopefully the Kawasaki Z125 follows in their footsteps and does something different. But that being said, I want to hear from you guys and girls out there. What do you think about the new 250L lineup? What do you think about the new Grom lineup? Overall, I'm happy to see the changes and the fact that they're still putting time, money, and energy into these awesome machines. So if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more, hit that like button, consider subscribing. We upload 3 videos a week here, and until the next one, we'll see you then.